fertilizer picked. We got the watermelons taking a look at this morning already. Now I'm going to run water and fertilizer. It's feeding day to all the cantaloupe and all the watermelon that we have growing so far. Except for we just planted cantaloupe last night, so those aren't going to get food because they had some in the transplant solution. But everything has been in since May 5th. Up until now, we're going to get some water and food today. And so I'm going to hustle back and forth. We're going to get both pumps running. And okay, both pumps fired up. One running down the watermelons, one up to the cantaloupes. Actually, at the moment, it's at the greenhouse. I'm going to switch it to the cantaloupes as soon as I water the seeds. I got to water the seeds first, get them taken care of, and then we'll switch over, let them run on the cantaloupes for a couple hours this morning into the afternoon. I'm going to be running back and forth between the two crops, adding fertilizer and then draining it while I add fertilizer to the other one, and vice versa. Keep back and forth, get them all fed. Just in case you were curious, this is a used one fertilizer injector that I broke last year, and I had the Amish man that makes these, I had him refurbish it for me, so this is a spare for me now. But just so you're aware, this is what it looks like completely. Now I have about the bottom 2 foot to almost maybe not quite 3 foot underground that you can't see, but that thing's all full of water and fertilizer, etc. I basically, when I drain it, it's obviously I can only drain to the valve here, so this all stays full of water, but then I can fill basically I can basically add the volume of powder that pushes the water up to the top. All right, so I just rounded up some of my fertilizer. It's a pretty big pile here, but I'm going to be watering, 3+ acres here. So just want to give everything a little bit of feed. So I'm going to run, the gray bag is a calcium. It's a 1509, 20% calcium. So it's some calcium nitrate, nitrogen, a little bit of potash, and a 20% calcium there. And then the green one is a 14, 12, 14 with sulfur and a bunch of micros. Just basically a growth mix. These are both growth mixes, but the one has calcium also. I'm going to be running a bag of each of those, one to the cantaloupe and one to the watermelon patch of each. And then they have an 81040 here. This is a little bit of a cheaper product, but I'm going to run a chunk of that to my 4 greenhouse tomatoes that are being watered right now. And then I grabbed a little bit of a starter bag there to give that's just an old leftover bag I was going to throw into when I run to the flowers a little bit, give them a little bit of kick too. So right now I got to get these guys some water, these seeds in here, and then we're going to start feeding. Pumpkins here getting some nice size to them. It's Saturday. My target and my goal is to start planting on Tuesdays. That gives me, what we got, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's about 3 days roughly to so these bigger ones, the Kratos there, are on the bigger side, and the Cinderella look like they're on the bigger side, and I think these Marinas. So I have an acre and a half there that are a little bit ahead of everything else that I'll start with on hopefully Tuesday, and then hopefully this second round, which some of this was planned at the same time, they're a little smaller, but hopefully they'll be a day behind there, a day or two behind. We can keep planting on them. I'd like to get all the ones that are up here in next week if I can. That's my goal. Okay, round one. Gonna slap some green bag 14, 12, 14 micros into the watermelon feed here. Alrighty, well, as you can see, I could use a weed eater around here, so if anybody's bored, needs something to do next couple days, I can get you on the weed eater running for a couple hours. But the problem is this time of year, that just isn't a priority. Now it looks like I forgot to drain this, so I am going to have to drain it. Normally I try to do that, but gonna have to take a couple minutes and let that drain before I add this. Okay, so I just ran up here to the greenhouse. That down there is draining. So it's gonna usually takes a good 5 minutes, sometimes a little longer to get completely drained. So I'm going to be running back and forth between these two injectors several times here the next hour, getting all the feeds in I need to get, trying not to stand around too much to keep them going. So I'm gonna run 2 bags, make sure I got the right thing here. 2 bags of my fruity mix, high potash, all the micros, magnesium, sulfur, etc. Into all my tomatoes. This is what pushes size, it pushes flowers. I gotta slow down a little bit. Get into a hurry and then you waste it. They tell you that when you're a little kid and you just forget when you're an adult. But anyway, so like I said, this stuff is supposed to flow through nicely, but there's a couple of chunks in here, and that's just gonna be a challenge for me. Try to just get the powder through. But anyway, this product is going to push the flower sets. It's going to push the size. So basically, the amount of fruit and the size of the fruit is what this is pushing. So the more of the micros and the potassium, phosphorus, etc., you need a little nitrogen to grow the plant. You know, all those things are important. But right now, I'm more interested in pushing fruit than I am in pushing plant. And that's what this is going to be, higher potassium, kind of like a 1-2-3 ratio or 1-2-4 ratio in your fertilizer analysis is your fruiting, you know, basically meaning 1 part nitrogen, 2 parts phosphorus, 3 or 4 parts potassium, and then your micros. That's your fruiting ratio. You know, and you have something like a 20-20-20, that's just an equal, you know, equal push, equal fruit ratio. That's like the 14-12-14. That's just pushing for growth. A little bit of flower and fruits, but maybe, you know, just as much or more growth. So there's 1 bag. I got a little bit of chunks in here, so I'm trying to break them up on the ground before I open the bag and have to deal with them. Hopefully that helped. I forgot my razor in my truck, so I'm trying to use a shears or little clippers. Not ideal, but it works. That's a little better. Yep. As soon as I say something. It was working great until I said something. But yeah, when it's nice and powdered, you can just almost pour it right in there as long as it takes, unless the funnel gets bogged up for some reason. Basically pour that right in there pretty quick. Okay. $50 down the drain right there. Fertilizing is not cheap. All in all here this morning, I'm probably going to run about $300 worth of fertilizer down this pipe. Down this one and this pipe and that pipe. But hey, I have learned a long time ago that feeding your plants well pays. Yeah, you feed a worker real good and he works hard for you. Plants are the same way. You give them the food and nutrition that they need, they repay tenfold. All right, down to get this bag into this injector to feed this 1.5 acres of cantaloupes. This bag's a little better, not as much chunks so far. We're flowing a lot better here. A little bit of a workout. This gets easier the later in the summer it goes. I do this many times and I can tell it starts getting easier. My muscles get stronger. You can tell it started foaming out there. This product actually has a buffer in it that neutralizes the pH of the water. So it reacts to the water, foams up a little bit. Normally in a bucket it'd settle out, but in here I'm putting so much powder in for the water that it just, I almost got all the bag in, about 15 pounds there left maybe. But we'll run this through and then I'll come back and get the rest here. Short bit. next round. I can smell the ammonium sulfate in this mix. There's no urea. Guess we're gonna have to go another round. Taking me too long to get it in, the reaction happened too fast. Rounds to get that green bag in because it has the buffer in there that reacts to my water, so that don't help things. But got that all through. Now I got the calcium bag. This does not have a reaction, so I should be able to put this whole bag in here at one shot and go up and do the same thing. It's also, this bag is nice and loose, so hopefully I can just pour this sucker right in. Send it to my 3 acres out there and move on. And that right there, folks, is what it looks like to pour $120 down the drain. Not literally though, it's going into my plants, but going down this drain into my irrigation here. Alrighty, so that's how it's supposed to work. Quick and easy. I always forget to shut that for some reason. Guess I'm trying to get sprayed. All right, and there we go. When I come back, I can switch around and I can get my my flowers hooked up and we'll feed them. Because there's no reaction in this product, I don't think I need to empty all the way. I think I can get this in without that, save myself a minute or two here. Last thing I gotta do, once I get this going into my cantaloupes, I'm gonna let that run for a few hours. The last thing I gotta do is get some feed to my flowers, and then we gotta plant some watermelons. I run a little bit behind here today. I wanted to be planting at lunchtime and it's probably about 1 o'clock now, so I'm a little bit behind, but I think that's my life. I'm always behind. Always behind. Seems like it anyway. Not always, but more than often. More than often. More than likely. Okay. And that's that. Cantaloupes, tomatoes, all fed. Well, as soon as I open this up, they will be. It's hard to see that product go through, but I'm pretty sure we're good. I like to see that it's going, but that one's kind of clear. It's hard to tell. Okay, we are final lap here of this feeding marathon. I just need to add the feed in for the flowers. Just opened up the flower line there a minute ago. I run that off the same line as the watermelons, but it'll take a little bit of pressure away from the watermelon, so I wanted to do all that feeding first to make sure that I got good feed with good pressure out to the far end. I did run on the watermelons about 5 hours yesterday, so I'm not going to run as long today, but wanted to steal a little bit of time and get these flowers a little bit of kick. We're trying to establish a cut flower patch this year where people can come and cut their own flower bouquets, and we can cut them ourselves and sell them in our store. So I want to take care of them a little bit. This isn't all going to go to the flowers. This is simultaneously going to the flowers and the watermelons at the same time. But the flowers will get a little bit, and I just want them to have a little bit. I'm not worried about them getting that whole bag. They'll get half, they'll get maybe a quarter of the bag. We'll get to the flowers. So we got that in. My pressure seems to be decent going there, so we're gonna open her up and let her go. And then we are done. You can see the blue line there. I don't know if you can see it from there or not, but my feed is going and we're finished. I don't know if you see that little geyser shooting out there. It's not intentional, but it is my way of confirming from a distance that my water pressure in my flower patch is good, because if that thing's shooting 10 feet, 12 feet in the air, or whatever it is, then I know my pressure, if it's shooting at all, I know that my flowers are getting water. If that thing ain't going, then I know my pump shut off or something happened. I should get that fixed, but it's kind of convenient to drive by and be like, yep, they're getting water.